Today I bring you the true story of Aron Ralston, narrated from his perspective. It's a tale not of my own, but of Aron's extraordinary ordeal in Blue John Canyon. This is a story about confronting the unthinkable, a testament to resilience and the incredible strength of the human spirit to survive. It was 2003, a time in my life when the thrill of adventure called me incessantly. I was an experienced outdoorsman, always seeking the next challenge, but this time it was a solo trip into the canyons of Utah, a place I knew well and loved deeply. I set out into Blue John Canyon, a remote and beautiful part of Utah wilderness. It was just me, my mountain bike, and enough gear for a day's worth of exploration. The sense of freedom was exhilarating. I biked through the dusty trails and then hiked deeper into the canyon. The towering walls of rock around me were awe-inspiring. I felt small in their presence, but invigorated by the challenge they represented. As I navigated through a particularly narrow slot in the canyon, I dislodged a boulder, and in an instant, my life changed. The boulder fell, pinning my right arm against the canyon wall. The weight of it was immense, and I realized with a sinking heart that I was trapped and alone. And there I was, my right arm crushed and pinned by the boulder. The initial shock gave way to a flurry of emotions: panic, fear, disbelief. I shouted for help, but deep into the heart of the canyon, my voice merely echoed off of the walls, a stark reminder of my isolation. With determination, I tried everything to free myself. I pushed against the boulder, chipped away at the rock, and even used leverage of my climbing gear. Hours turned into days, and the boulder remained immovable, a relentless force against my fading strength. As time passed, my situation grew dire. Water and food were scarce. I had only brought enough for that day's journey. The nights were cold and torturous, and the hot days were exhausting. Thirst and hunger became constant companions, along with overwhelming sense of vulnerability. In the silence of the canyon, I faced the darkest corners of my mind. Thoughts of my family, friends, and the life I had lived flooded in. Regret, love, hope, and despair mingled as I confronted the very real possibility of the end of my existence in this desolate place. As the fifth day dawned, a truth I had been avoiding crept into my consciousness. There was a way out, a dreadful, unimaginable way. I knew what I had to do, but accepting it was like staring into the abyss. My mind raced in fear, desperation, and a primal urge to survive. I rummaged through my backpack, my hands trembling. The tools were laughably inadequate. A cheap, dull multi-tool and my climbing gear. Yet they were all that I had. I looked at the multi-tool, its blade barely sharp enough to cut, and my heart sank. This was going to be a battle of sheer will. I positioned myself using a piece of webbing to create a tourniquet above my trapped arm. The pain as I began was beyond description, an all-consuming fire that threatened to overwhelm my senses. Every nerve screamed in protest as I sawed with the blade inadequate for the task. Hours passed, each minute an eternity of agony. I reached the bones, and the multi-tool couldn't cut through them. In a moment of desperate clarity, I realized I could use the leverage of my trapped arm to break them. It was a gruesome necessity, and with a final, excruciating effort, I was free. The moment my arm broke free, a wave of relief washed over me, quickly followed by a surge of adrenaline. I was weak, bleeding, and in shock, but I knew I had to move. Leaving the boulder behind, I started the excruciating trek back to civilization. Every step was a battle against dizziness and the threat of losing consciousness. The canyon, once a place of adventure, now felt like an endless maze. I rationed the very little water that I had left, each sip a precious commodity. It was on the second day of my crawl to safety that I saw them, a family hiking. I mustered the last of my strength to call out, and at first they couldn't believe their eyes, a man disheveled with a severed arm emerging from the depths of the canyon. They acted quickly, giving me water and basic first aid, and one of them rushed to get help. I was on the brink of collapse, but their presence, their aid, it was like a balm to my battered spirit. The sound of a rescue helicopter was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. As the medical team attended to me, I remember looking back at the vastness of the canyon, and it was there that I learned the true strength of the human will. As I lay in the hospital, my body healing, my mind replaying every moment of those 5 days, I realized something profound. Inside each of us, there's an incredible force, a will to live that emerges strongest when we're tested to our limits. My story is not just about survival. It's a testament about the power that resides in all of us. The will to overcome, to fight against the odds, lives in each heartbeat, in each and every breath we take. It's a strength that's often untapped, waiting for the moment that we truly need it. We all have our canyons to face, our boulders that trap us, but within us lies the courage to break free, to emerge stronger and more resilient than ever. My journey in Blue Canyon is a reminder of the innate ability to endure, adapt, and overcome the most daunting of challenges. Thank you for sharing this journey with me. If this story of the human spirit's resilience has inspired you, please like this video and subscribe for more tales of bravery and survival. Remember, the strength to face life's greatest challenges lies within each of us, waiting to be discovered.